Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and for the first time ever, Formula E came to us from Japan for the Tokyo E-Prix of 2024, and I was really excited for this one. Love Formula E, love Japan. This should have been a match made in heaven, and in many ways it was. This was a very exciting race. I did really enjoy this one, and it has really shaken the championship up because after the first couple of races, it looked like Nick Cassidy was going to start walking away with this one. He had quite a big lead in the title race. His main opponents were sort of tripping over each other, and it was looking a bit easy. But really, in the last couple of races, it has been turned on its head. Jaguar, this was their 100th race in Formula E, and they really struggled. Both cars had a rough time in qualifying and were down the back end of the field. Mitch Evans made contact and had a lot of damage and had to come into the pits at one point. And Nick Cassidy, he worked his way up from the back of the field. He did an admirable job to finish 7th, and he does keep the championship lead. But the pack behind him is really, really tight now. It's really, really close. It's really hard to call an actual champion because it's very hard in Formula E to have a very good run of form. In fact, 5 races in, only 2 drivers have finished in the points every race, or I think it was 3. But that was Pascal Wehrlein and Maxi Günther. Strangely, the 2 German drivers are the most consistent so far, having the only 2 who have scored in every race in Formula E in 2024, which is very impressive, and both of them are in and around the title fight. Maxi Günther's a little bit further out, but Pascal Wehrlein is tied on points with Nick Cassidy. Behind them, honestly, Oliver Rowland, who is having the season of a lifetime so far. It's not a random occurrence, but it does seem out of place just because Nissan have been, I don't want to say terrible, but Nissan have been really bad over the last few years. It's been rough for them. But Oliver Rowland's a decent driver. He once finished 3rd in the Formula 2 Championship back in 2017. He has won a race in Formula E before, only once, and it was back in 2020. But he almost did it again here. It was still a really fantastic drive to 2nd place, and Oliver Rowland has finished on the podium in the last 3 races. It has put him in title contention, at least early on into the season. We are a third of the way through, so it's not like it's a fluke in the first couple of rounds. He is doing really well. Nissan generally haven't scored a lot of points over the last few years. Sasha Fenestraz is having a tough season. In 2023, we saw Fenestraz up near the front of the field, but getting caught up in a lot of crashes and incidents that really cost him a lot of points. This year, he's not been anywhere near as close to the front. He's been sort of stuck in the midfield. He did score a point here, but he's not really on par with his teammate right now. Oliver Rowland is really so far the driver of 2024 in my eyes, just because did not expect him to be this high up in the order, and he really is doing an incredible job. Jake Dennis once again is there as well, brightening the title fight and being consistent. And Mitch Evans is kind of hanging on as well, but he's had a few bad results now, so he really needs to pick his game up. As for the rest of the field, honestly, the biggest shock for me this year is the DS Penske cars, Verne and Van Dorn. They've been terrible. They have not had a lot of pace. They've been stuck down the midfield. Both of them are outside the points in this race. Neither of them are really close to the top of the standings either. It's very disappointing from the gold-coloured cars. I was expecting a lot more from them. Experienced team, big names in Penske, and you've got 2 fantastic drivers in Verne and Van Dorn who are both Formula E champions. They really should be doing better. This was Porsche's race. They made some decent ground on Jaguar. Both Da Costa and Wehrlein were running near the top. Da Costa did make a brave move for the lead at one point, but he got caught up. Actually, that's for 2nd. He tried to get past Rowland for 2nd, but he went for a bit of an ambitious move around the outside. That did drop him down a couple of places. Other than that, it was a very clean race. We did see a couple of incidents. Freins got shown the wall by Norman Nato, and he sustained some damage. Jake Hughes hit the barrier. Mitch Evans made contact with Buemi, I think it was. The Envision cars were another team that did not have a great Tokyo E-Prix, and Buemi had a fantastic start to the season. He finished 2nd in the first E-Prix, and I thought maybe this is the Buemi of old and we're going to see him be a real title contender again. And sadly, that has not been the case so far in 2024, not since the first race. As for other top contenders of the past, Lucas Di Grassi is having an absolutely woeful season. He retired from this race. And Nick De Vries, again, did not score any points. And that's another former champion struggling. When you consider Formula E has the majority of their champions in the field. Because Jake Dennis, Jean-Eric Verne, Van Dorn, Nick De Vries, Lucas Di Grassi, Sebastian Buemi. It's only Nelson Piquet Jr. who's not there. It's a real stacked field of champions. Like the best of the best are there. A lot of the field are race winners, such as Sam Bird, who won last time out. But McLaren had an absolutely horrific Tokyo E-Prix. Jake Hughes, as I said, hit the wall. Sam Bird, I don't know what his issues were, if it was mechanical, but he was never really off the bottom. I think he lost a couple of laps at some point. And after the highs of the last E-Prix in Sao Paulo, this was the lowest of lows for the team. Other than that, ERT, they scored a point. Sergio Sette Camara, he's having a decent season. I thought Dan Ticktum was doing a lot better than him, but the Brazilian has turned it around this season and he's doing a fairly decent job. Nico Muller scored at Cupra's first points of the year with a very, very credible 6th place. Fantastic drive. It's enough to keep them ahead of the likes of ERT, and I'm sure someone hasn't. I'm sure there's a team that scored 0 points, isn't there? I can't remember. But it was a really good result for Abt Cupra. Is it Mahindra that's not scored any points? Who's driving for Mahindra? No, Mortara and De Vries. So yeah, Mahindra haven't scored any points. Mortara did finish in the top 10, but was disqualified. So Mahindra are having a woeful year as well. They're another team who are really struggling. And they have 2 good drivers. Mortara and De Vries, they're good drivers. It's just not working out for Mahindra. De Ruvela is another one who has really struggled this year, and that continued. He was sort of just nowhere in this race, just another no man's land performance. Shame for the Indian, he's really struggling to find his feet in Formula E, and it just happens to coincide with Maxi Günther having an amazing season. In fact, when you look at the end of last year, Maxi Günther was one of the form drivers, and he's carried it over into 2024, which is really good news for Maserati. Other than that, the title race is still really, really close. I have a lot of faith in Jaguar to win it. They are leading the team's championship at the moment. Mitch Evans needs to have a better year, and he is better than the results he's had so far. Expect him to come on strong for the rest of this year. From the next round in Misano, which I think is only in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we're going to see this new fast charging system. So that's going to be interesting to see how that's implemented. It's a bit strange that they're only introducing it halfway through the season. I really think it should have been maybe tested this season and implemented for the whole of next season. But we'll see how that shakes the grid up, see if anything changes, see if any teams struggle to make that work. It's going to be an interesting one, Misano, so make sure you watch that one. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I will be talking about it at the time, as well as all the other E-Prix coming this year. It's scary, we're only 3 months away from the end of Formula E, 4 months. It's going quick, so you want to really get watching it now. If you haven't watched this season, get caught up and really get involved, because Formula E is very, very exciting. It does tend to be a little bit chaotic. The fields don't tend to get strung out too much, so the racing stays pretty close. It has a few things I dislike about it. I've moaned about attack mode several times on this channel, but I do really enjoy Formula E. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy the Tokyo E-Prix? Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.